Welcome to the AARC-360 Compliance Podcast, where we explore the ideas shaping the future of cybersecurity, compliance, AI governance, and digital trust. We bring you practical insights and real-world conversations to help your organization reduce risk, strengthen compliance, and build client trust. At AARC-360, we specialize in SOC reports, ISO certifications, high trust, PCI, and much more. Now let's get right into it. Here's your host, Bernie Welch.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the first episode of our new podcast series from AARC-360. Frequent listeners to our AARC-360 Thought Leadership may be familiar with our quarterly live interactive webinars we've been doing for a couple of years. With this episode, we're changing it up a bit, moving to a different format. Shorter recordings available on demand. Many of you gave us feedback that you wanted this, so we're delivering. We still welcome your questions and interactions, so keep those comments and questions coming, and maybe we'll feature your comment or question on a future episode. You can send those to info@arc-360.com. So with that, let's dive right into today's episode. And yep, we're taking the bait and hitting that topic that everybody's talking about for the last few years, and that's AI. AI has certainly moved from innovation experimentation phase into business critical day-to-day operations. So our clients and their business partners are really asking the question now, how do we fulfill our GRC obligations, and how do we make sure we can demonstrate and enhance trust responsibly while continuing to innovate? There are definitely options in how to demonstrate assurance over AI products and development in your organization. And today we're going to focus on these, most notably the ISO 42001 standard as an audit certification framework. For those not familiar with ISO certifications, they've certainly been around for many years. We at AARC-360 have been doing ISO 27001 certifications for years. It's sort of the grandfather of the ISO cert business. And then we started seeing a lot of requests for ISO 27701 for privacy also, completing what we call the trifecta of the ISO certifications. So joining me today to talk about the AI topics are two of AARC-360's rock stars. It's Adam Thompson, one of our senior managers, and Rashmi Mishra, one of our senior consultants. Both are experienced IT compliance specialists, and both are ISO certified lead auditors. I'm going to start, though, instead of giving their background with a little fun question, given that we've started the summer break, and I'm going to ask each of them to talk about what are their favorite activities during the summer. So with that, I'll start with you, Adam.
All right, thanks, Bernie, and hello, everyone. As far as summer activities, I have 4 kids between the ages of 3 and 12, and so we really try to get out there, use up some of that energy. We just recently got back from a little bit of a road trip. We went out west, went through a bunch of national parks, hiking.
Oh, sweet.
Lakes and rivers. So we really like to get out and just be in the outdoors and see all the cool things out there.
Awesome. Great to experience the country with the kids. Rashmi, how about you?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Bernie. Really excited to be part of this discussion. And for summer, one of my favorite activities is hiking. I love to get outdoors, explore the new trails, and just take a step back from screens and technology. It's a great reminder of balance, which interestingly also ties how we should be thinking about AI innovation, but in a thoughtful, controlled manner, creating balance and governance.
Very good. You tied in AI to your summer activity. Very, very sharp. All right, well, let's jump into it. I mean, first of all, maybe for you, Adam, let's start with the basics. Like many people may know about the various ISO certification frameworks, but 42001 is relatively new. So what is it?
Yeah. I mean, AI is the buzzword of the decade, right? Everybody's talking about AI. It's a relatively new standard. I mean, when you're talking about ISO standards, it's a baby, right? ISO 27001 has been around for quite a while, and now we have 42001 regarding AI governance. So it was published in 2023. It's the first international AI management system standard, and it refers to the AI management system. If you're familiar with 27001, you'll be familiar with the term ISMS, the Information Security Management System. And so this is AIMS. It was built essentially kind of with 27001 as the backbone. A lot of the structure that you'll be familiar with the 27001 you'll notice is very similar in 42001. It's designed to help organizations govern AI responsibly. So, like I said, it's structured like other ISO frameworks based on the particular type of management system we're dealing with, which in this case is the AIMS. And it focuses on what you might be familiar with. Risk management and transparency and accountability are a little bit more unique to AI.
Right.
Human oversight, bias, that's another AI specific concept, and then obviously just regulatory readiness in general. So ISO 42001 is to AI governance as what might be ISO 27001 is for information security.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, good analogy. So many companies are using AI in so many different ways, right? I mean, their employees might be using ChatGPT on their own, or people may be building AI on their products. How do we think about, is this certification only for people that are building AI products, or how broad is it?
No, not at all. That's a common misconception, I think, is that it only applies to the ChatGPTs or the Anthropics or whatever other major player out there in the AI tool world. But it really applies to any organization that's not just developing AI, for one, obviously, and those that might be embedding AI into their products. And even organizations that are simply using AI internally to perform a lot of their internal processes and services to their clients. So there's really, when it comes to ISO 42001, it's primarily three roles that you got to think through and consider which one you might be. The standards have the definitions. You can get some additional guidance from ISO 22989. That's got some general guidance around artificial intelligence concepts and terminology. But as far as 42001, and more specifically 42006, which gives more guidance on how to perform these audits, it talks about three main roles, right? Provider, which is an organization or entity that provides products and services that use one or more AI systems. You've got a producer that is an organization that designs, develops, tests, and deploys products and services using one or more AI systems. And then you've got simply the users, who are those that use AI products and services for their organizations. So, I mean, AI is influencing decisions. If AI is influencing decisions in your organization, ISO 42001 becomes relevant to you.
Relevant no matter how you're using it. Okay, that's good. Okay, Rashmi, let me turn to you now and say, what's really changed over the last couple of years that makes kind of addressing the GRC issues just such a priority for AI?
That's a great question, Bernie. And honestly, it comes down to the confluence of like several major shifts happening all at once in this industry. First, we've seen like an explosion of AI across all and nearly every industry. What started as an experimentation with chatbots and automation pilots has quickly turned into like a business critical use. Whether be it in your customer service, underwriting, health industry like clinical decision support or financial modeling. AI has moved firmly into like broad level conversations wherein executives are no longer like asking, should we use AI? They are also asking, how do we use it safely, responsibly, and competitively? So the shift here elevates AI from a technical topic to a governance and risk priority. And also we are seeing like an increasing regulatory pressure. So the EU AI Act is a major example here where it introduced a risk-based framework with real compliance expectations. Here in the US, we're also seeing like state level regulations emerging alongside like privacy laws being extended to cover the AI use cases and AI risk factors. And also there's like the customer side. So organizations are also facing more scrutiny from their customers and their business partners, especially in sectors like the healthcare, financial services, and SaaS. Customers also want to understand not just if you're using AI, but how you're using it. So we are also seeing like trends in the vendor risk management, which is evolving right now. So if your third parties or your vendors are using AI, that becomes your risk as well. So companies are expanding their third-party risk management programs to explicitly include AI governance. And all in all, it leads to like a single takeaway wherein the risk today isn't just building AI, but without understanding that risk that the AI introduces.
Yeah, Rashmi, you mentioned risks, and let's think about risks. Some of the risks that you mentioned, vendor risk management, for example, have been around for a long time and aren't really that new. What are some of the newer risks that are going to have to be addressed and documented as companies are implementing AI and maybe want to get audited?
Yeah, so the basic principles of the AI risk management here is to adhere to the AI principles that 42001 states. For example, like risks created through the biasness of the output from the AI model, or the autonomous decisions that the AI model could create. So a human in the loop is a very important factor to consider from risk perspective. And also the discrimination, or there should be fairness with respect to the output of the AI model, the accuracy. So 42001 provides you a list of basic AI principles that needs to be followed while conducting an AI risk management
Okay, very
assessment.
good. Yeah, some of those are definitely unique. Probably haven't been dealt with yet. All right, let's switch over. I think we're definitely convinced on the need to get these audits. Adam, I'm going to come to you now. Is talk about what does the implementation process look like to get compliant, maybe get audited and accredited against 42001.
Yeah. Maybe before I touch on that, I'll just comment real quickly on how maybe you don't think you need to have implementation in any regard. So, one of the reasons to think about implementing 42001 to begin with is it's really looking like it's going to become the go-to for AI GRC. The way that it follows the backbone essentially of 27001 being the primary basis for which it was created. Many organizations already have that in place. That has a pretty good foothold as far as implementation across the world, really. So, as far as implementation goes, there's really 4 steps. You might throw a 5th in there, which I'll explain, but step 1 would be AI inventory. Get a handle on what the systems are that you're using. Identify the AI systems that are in place in your organization. Understand where it's being used. Which AI models are being used. There are so many out there, not just the big names that you see, but there are many that you might not be familiar with by name, but that are being used all over the place. Step 2 would be the risk assessment. Those familiar with 27001 know that this is a key component to compliance with 27001. You got to look at all the various types of risk: the business risk, the privacy risk, ethical risk, security risk, all the different types of risk. And then now with the considerations of the AIMS that you need to audit against, there's all those additional things like the discrimination, the bias, the hallucinations, those types of things. Step 3 then would be establish a governance structure with the policies, with the roles, with the accountability. You really can take your policies and your procedures that you have in place and try to integrate it in there. It doesn't have to be this completely unique policies and procedures when it comes to the AIMS. And step 4 would be when you think you're ready to be audited, and this is where that additional step comes in potentially for an organization who might be considering getting certified, is a readiness assessment. This is the point at which you might want to consider a readiness assessment first to see if in steps 1, 2, and 3 you've done a sufficient job to get ready. If you might have an internal resource who knows what they're doing and has already done it, you might not need a readiness assessment. You could go straight to the actual certification audit. And so in this, you would need to choose an accredited ISO auditing firm and go through the initial certification audit, pass that, and then it's good for 3 years as the ISO 27001. And then obviously surveillance years. The 2 subsequent years would be the surveillance year, audits year 1 and 2, and it's a very similar cycle to 27001. So most organizations are already using AI. ISO 42001 provides the governance framework around the usage.
Yeah, good. So it sounds like it can be a great framework for the G and GRC for governance, but also, of course, right, auditors, us would use it for the C part. Yep. Okay. Let me follow up on step 2. You mentioned risk assessment. I know there's a lot of questions we're getting as an organization about the new risk management framework that actually NIST put out, the NIST AI RMF. Mm-hmm. How does that fit into this process, and how do we think about risk assessment? You know, many people already do a risk assessment, and this is another risk assessment. How does this all fit together?
Yeah. So, I mean, most organizations are already doing some form of enterprise risk assessment process. ISO 42001 risk assessment isn't a separate siloed exercise. It's designed to plug into the existing process, right? Think of it as adding an AI lens to the existing risk categories and risk evaluations that you're doing in the organization already. 42001 just asks you to also specifically assess things like we mentioned before: bias, transparency, explainability, human oversight, some of these concepts that are specific to AI. And then as far as your mention of the NIST AI RMF, the risk management framework, you know, that's a great complementary piece. It's important to understand the differences, though. ISO or NIST AI RMF is a framework. It's voluntary guidance, very rich and detailed on the how in identifying and managing AI risk, but it's not a certifiable standard.
Right.
ISO 42001, it's a certifiable management system standard. So in practice, a lot of organizations will use NIST AI RMF as sort of the playbook, if you will, the detailed methodology of how to actually score and manage an AI risk. And then ISO 42001 as the management system wrapper that makes the effort auditable, repeatable, and ultimately certifiable, and adds in that continuous monitoring piece that is so important for the AI systems.
Perfect. Okay. I think that's understandable. So, you know, Rashmi, I know we've been taking some companies through this process, the multiple steps that Adam just mentioned. Maybe talk about some examples of some of the challenges we're seeing, difficult implementation areas, roadblocks people are running into, maybe they didn't expect.
Yeah, and you know, Bernie, that's where the things are getting really interesting from 42001 perspective. The questions and the roadblocks that we are facing currently are like clients and even the auditors are trying to figure out in what way is the AI being used in that organization, right? So as Adam mentioned previously, that the AIMS or the artificial intelligence management system roles get divided into either you are a developer, a producer, or a user. So when a customer or a client comes to us, the first question is, you know, where are you using the AI in your product or your services? So based on that, the second follow-up question would be what if they are a multiple user, multiple roles, right? If they are a developer and a user. So then the next question comes like, what kind of role do you want to get certified for? Could be they want to get certified for like multiple roles, wherein they want to provide the customers that transparency that they are ethically, responsibly developing AI as well as using AI. So, you know, that creates more conversations with the client, and that helps us to scope their AI certificate or 42001 certifications scoping done properly, wherein we talk through we have a scoping conversation, talk through the AIMS environment, the number of employees under the scope, which brings us to a correct number of audit day calculation that brings us to a good and healthy conversation related to the fieldwork days and how the audit is to be conducted. So these are from from a certification body to a customer. And then when we get into the audit itself, we are, since it's a new environment for everyone, wherein we are also trying to learn, and the client is also trying to create more documentation around, adhering to 42001 principles. So we are looking forward from customers to understand what kind of data inventory and tool inventory do they maintain.
Right.
Are they falling under any sensitive data models regulated, or is it own model? Who is accountable for such AI decisions? Is this like, is there a human in the loop, or is it like a fully automated decision-making AI model? And looking over those controls, we are very focused on understanding whether the AI principles are being followed, and there is also a concept in 42001, or a new subclause in 42001, with respect to AI system impact assessment. So if our clients are developing an AI system, we have to follow or create an AI system impact assessment, wherein we are trying to check the AI principles, how are the AI principles being impacted, whether there are factors related to conducting an assessment, conducting an impact assessment from the AI system towards the individual, group of individuals, and to society. And it's a mandatory clause in a control requirement in 8.5. So again, yeah, these are a little bit of nuanced requirements in 42001, which we do not see in 27001. They're not creating roadblocks, but this is what we are talking about for a responsible and ethical use of AI.
Yeah. Okay. Those are some good examples. You mentioned 42001 was the first standard. Maybe I'll come to you, Adam. I know there's some other standards that have been floating out. I mean, high trust has been around for a while. I know high trust has got a high trust for AI. There's also, though, the new one, the AI UC-1. I know a consortium of folks came up with. Talk about how those maybe compare and contrast with 42001.
Yeah, good question. So, yeah, AIUC1, it's pretty new, but it's the first independent standard certifying AI agents specifically. So if your organization builds AI that includes agents capable of, for instance, autonomously taking actions, executing workflows, and interfacing with business operations, for instance, then the focus of your certification might be using the AIUC1 framework. That's a mouthful. Um, so it's a bit more targeted, right? It's and specific than ISO 42001. It's actually it aligns with 42001 in a lot of ways, and it assesses agents' controls across six
Gotcha.
core principles, including data and privacy, security, safety, reliability, accountability, and societal risks. A lot of similar things as 42001. It incorporates the majority of controls that you might see in 42001 and helps translate the ISO management system approach into a concrete and auditable requirements. So it does extend, I guess you could say, 42001 a little bit through third-party testing requirements, things like, regarding hallucinations, jailbreak attempts, things like that, kind of
Right.
unique to those
Yeah.
things. Like I said, it's definitely still an emerging standard. Controls are still being added, so we'll kind of see how that turns out. But that's kind of, where that lies right now. Going to the other part of your question regarding the high trust portion, right? High trust now offers an AI security assessment and certification. If you want to add that to your high trust assessment, that won't result in an ISO 42001 certification by any means, but it does provide your organization with a strong security and technical foundation in the AI space that will support your readiness for ISO 42001.
Okay, that's good. Some good background on those other standards. Rashmi talked a bit, Adam, about sort of business value. What about, what's your view on that? I guess, can a competitive advantage sort of be reached through implementing or getting accredited against 42001?
Yeah, absolutely. With very few organizations now at this point being certified to 42001, I think last we looked, it was somewhere between 100 and 200 organizations worldwide that are certified at this point. So, I mean, that number could have changed since I last looked at it, but it's not as many for sure as 27001 and others. But yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned the trifecta earlier regarding 27001, 27701, and now 42001. You've got your security, 27001, your privacy, 27701, and then now AI governance 42001. So it's it's going to differentiate you from competitors, like Rashmi just mentioned. It's going to demonstrate a maturity that many organizations simply can't demonstrate, right? And then it'll support procurement reviews. There'll be fewer of those maybe vendor assessments that you have to do that about AI specifically, and ultimately it really could strengthen enterprise sales opportunities, because that's going to be a feather in your cap as far as being on the cutting edge of compliance. So organizations that can demonstrate AI governance will increasingly win business over those that cannot, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. There's still probably some first mover advantage because you said there's so few organizations have really achieved this. All right, well, let's move in our last couple of questions, maybe one more for each of you. For you, Rashmi, a number of organizations who might want to go on this 42001 journey, I already have, let's say, a SOC 2 and maybe even high trust we mentioned earlier. So what's an efficient way to approach this, maybe taking advantage of the foundations they've been laid down?
Absolutely. So, to start, like, the market of ISO 42001 is still in its early stages. Like, as Adam said, that only a few hundred organizations globally have achieved the certification, and fewer certification bodies are accredited to perform this 42001 audit, wherein AARC-360 is one such body. So there's a noticeable gap between the demand and qualified providers. And what makes AARC-360 unique is that we're not coming into this space from scratch, right? We have this deep foundation of expertise, existing expertise, doing SOC examinations, ISO 27001 and ISO 27701, which is Privacy Information Management System Audit. We also do NIST 853, NIST AI RMF, Security Governance Framework assessment. So this is not a new space for us, and that therefore gives us also a very natural extension into building, providing 42001 audits to our customers. And AARC-360 being accredited certification body by IAS provides, creates a practical differentiator wherein we don't treat AI governance as a siloed compliance activity. We bring it together with your risk, compliance, and business operations. And importantly, we also focus on creating efficiency for our clients, right? So we are not, we always go to our clients saying that treat 42001 as not a standalone effort. However, we can align it with your SOC attestations, PCI assessments, and other certifications, and create a combined audit effort or coordinated audit process, which we at AARC-360 call as one combined audit. So we are just not, and also like additionally, we're just not advertising on AI. We are also using it ourselves. So we are also leveraging AI tools such as Field Guide, which is an audit management tool, which also uses AI to create consistency and efficiency for us. So this also gives us like a first-hand insight into both the benefits and the governance considerations for AI adoption. So overall, our advantage being auditors at AARC-360 is really about combining our experience, integrating AI, and practical execution that helps us to serve our clients beyond theory and actually provide operational AI governance.
Yeah, and hopefully make it a pleasant process. So that sounds good. I'm sure everyone will appreciate that. Last question for you, Adam. Just sort of looking ahead, where do you see this market headed, particularly relative to like AI governance, over the next few years?
Yeah, that's good. That's the question, right? That's what everybody's trying to figure out. Well. Okay, so if I had to speculate, right, I guess some predictions I might say is, AI governance, it's going to become an expected piece of your compliance puzzle, right? It's not going to be optional, I would say, in the near future. Customer due diligence is probably going to expand. Like we mentioned, there's not just those big AI players that we know of and hear in the news. It's hundreds of little LLMs and agents out there doing lots of different tasks. AI controls will probably become incorporated into vendor reviews, right? And we talked about earlier the convergence of these three primary ISO standards: the 27001, the 27701, and obviously the 42001. So the short of it is that security, privacy, and AI governance, they're all three different risks that happen to overlap in some areas, but none of them are going to substitute the others. So you really should be looking at probably all three of those at some point and get that, as they say, trifecta of ISO standards. So the organizations that start building governance now will have a significant advantage over those waiting for regulations to force the action of implementing them at some point.
Well, thanks, Adam, for that prognostication of the future. I think I agree with you. There's a lot still to be seen about what's going to happen. So thanks, everyone, for joining us today. If your organization is using AI, as I'm sure many of you are, now's the time to tackle those GRC challenges, as both Rashmi and Adam have talked about. If you're already on that ISO journey, consider completing the trifecta that we talked about and adding 42001 to your portfolio. Thanks again for joining, and please join us next time for another episode.
Thanks for listening to the AARC-360 Compliance Podcast. If you found today's discussion valuable, be sure to subscribe, share this episode with your colleagues, and visit www.aarc-360.com for additional insights, resources, and upcoming episodes. Until next time, keep building trust through better governance, stronger security, and effective compliance.